So I am here right now with Miss Kiara, and she is going to share with us a little bit about the incredible work that she's done developing her methodology. So, Kiara, can you share a little bit about your methodology and how you're changing the game in the Airbnb space?
Thanks, Naz. Yeah, I'd be really happy to share. So, when I first jumped into this business model overall, I really didn't have a clear direction of what I was trying to create. I didn't even realize I had a skill set, to be honest. It was a really organic thing. I was running my own Airbnb, and my husband said to me, not everybody gets it like you do. It was like this light bulb moment. What do you mean? Something that made so much sense to me. I just assumed everybody
Mhm.
knew what I knew. But the more I delved into the industry and the more I started working with clients, the more I realized that absolutely not everybody knows what I know. And even looking at industry players, I started to realize, oh my goodness, like I know so much more. Like
Mhm.
my the depth of knowledge and the depth understanding and big picture thinking that I brought to something that seemed really simple, I truly underestimated that. So coming into the program and then working through understanding that I even had a methodology. And that was something that you and I like push, pull a little bit. I'm like, just not, nah, just do it. It just is. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a methodology. But actually working through the program made me really distill down the elements of my methodology, and it made me really a lot stronger in how I even approach my deliverables. Even though I'm
Mhm.
doing a similar thing, I have this whole different level of authority within myself and understanding of like the power of my methodology. And like the realization I'm getting a lot of industry players that are coming to me wanting me to look at particular their particular listings or help their particular clients. And even one guy who's really like, he's charging a fortune and he's saying to me, oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't think of that. I didn't approach it from that point of view. So
Wow.
as it evolves, I'm just getting stronger and stronger as a player in the industry and getting stronger in my own mind about my position and my offering. So the power of that in just formulating what seemed like a simple methodology that made no sense to me. And I still couldn't even name my pillars for so long. I still moved them around a little bit in my mind. But like I say, the authority that's given me within my own self and within the industry, there's so much power in it. I can't really even articulate the up level that brings, basically. So,
Wow. That's amazing. And I think that you mentioned a couple of things that I think are so key. One is that oftentimes we don't even see our own methodology. And so that's a conversation I had. And I know you asked even before joining, you're like, what if I don't actually have an innovative method? And I kept reassuring you. I was like, trust me. I told you, even the way I run the calls that we get on before I invite you to join the program are meant for me to understand that methodology before you even do. And I think it's such a key factor because it's difficult for us to acknowledge because we're so close to our own stuff. It's we can't read the what is it, the ingredients from inside the jar, the label from inside the jar.
yeah,
That is
yeah.
so incredibly true. And you are incredibly skilled in marketing and like you understand marketing, messaging, positioning. Those were not new concepts to you. It's what actually makes you so good at what you're doing in your
Yeah,
space. But
yeah.
again, being so close to it makes it really difficult to understand for ourselves. So I love that you shared that because I think so often that becomes the case is that I'm just doing this thing. It's not that big of a deal. When reality, it's uncovering the gaps that and then connecting that to your innovation. And then finally being able to communicate that in a way that translates all of those pieces together. So I
Yeah.
think it's such a powerful shift that you made. And you mentioned about the up level. I would love, if you're open to it, sharing some of the results you saw that are tangible for you, whether that's how clients would come to you or how you would convert, whatever results you were the most excited
Oh,
about throughout the process.
yeah. So one thing that I noticed really early on in the program, before while I was still even struggling like with formulating my methodology, I basically changed the voice that I used. I took on my own power, just like with your voice in the back of my mind, going, you do have a methodology, you do have this. this process that is special. So I actually up-leveled the way I express that
I love that.
within my own marketing. And immediately, like it took, and I see other people in the program, they tend to have this dip when they're shifting their known messaging to their new messaging. I see it repeatedly. Like people do this dip for about 4 weeks. They go, like, we're not making any sales. Blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it just comes together. So it didn't take very long that suddenly I had this influx of inbound demand. And that continues to this day. Like it's amazing. And to be perfectly frank, like I think I've 6 times the cost of my service from when I first entered the program. I think it's at least 6 times. I can't even remember what it was, but it just, even week on week, I'm like, oh my God, this is worth so much more. This is worth so much more. And even now, like I've got at this sort of comfortable level, and I'm like, this is still worth so much more. I even
Uh-huh.
expressed that to someone on an inbound yesterday. She's like, oh, can we get on a call? I'm like, no, this is exceptional value. And I don't offer onboarding at this price point. You're getting exceptional value. So just even owning that. But back, sorry, I'm
No,
diverging,
I love this. I love it.
but back to results again. You talk about results and retention. So I'm finding I'm getting to that point because I've built up a better client base and I'm getting exceptional results. And because I'm sharing more deeply my methodology, I'm not afraid to share the depth of it,
Yeah.
even though it bamboozles people a little bit. I was a bit concerned about that. But the more I express the depth of it, the more people see me as an authority. So the more they listen to me. I used to work for a big international corporation, again to digress, but just as a point of reference, Worldwide Fund for Nature, as a turtle conservation officer, believe it or not, in
I
a
love it.
and I knew nothing about turtles. I was a community liaison officer, but people came to me all the time and I learned more and more about turtles. So suddenly I just knew so much. So it's
Yeah.
really funny. Like, the more people come to me, the more I'm getting that authority, and people are referring, like in bigger Facebook groups, going, Keira will help. Keira knows this. Ask her, go to her. So I'm getting that constant exposure, and like
Yeah.
easy yes leads, like they're pre-sold. My previous businesses I've run that way. I've never really marketed them, and people have come to me ready to buy. So that's just
Love that.
happening more and more. So
I love that. And I think there's a couple of things that you mentioned. And one of the things that we really hit home and we talk about is this idea that the marketing and sales are great. They're all important parts of the growth of your business, but ultimately it's how you serve your clients and creating
mm,
happy clients who want to go talk about you, want to share their experiences that
mm,
ultimately is going to create sustainability within your business. And I think a lot of people don't realize, and we say this again and again, you'll see it in like bold red letters when you're going through Sustainable Profit Academy, where we're like, your method is not your framework. It's not just marketing. It's not just all these things. Your method is what gets really applied throughout everything that you do, all the way from marketing, sales to the delivery and how we serve. And ultimately, what the goal is that it's expanding your message beyond you. Because now, when you share in a Facebook group, as an example, and you're talking about your method, now someone else can go repeat that method and say, now I know how she serves or how she gets results. And
yeah,
again, all the way down into how you serve your clients, you're able to get even better results for your clients because you have this method that connects what you do so well in a way that's really communicated and explores those gaps in the market. So I love that you shared that, because to me, it's such a holistic way that we look at it.
yeah. And it's really interesting now. It's like when we work through the methodology and create core components, etc. Like I've got my own little spiels now, and I'm seeing other people using my language, like algorithm accelerators and right fit factor. And I'm starting to see that coming through, like in the general vernacular within the industry. So that's really exciting. Like quite fun. Yeah, it's quite
That's where
fun.
you revolutionize. That's where I tell people, like, when you revolutionize and innovate, it becomes the new standard. So you're
Right.
creating a new standard in your industry that didn't exist before you.
Right.
And it's so powerful and it's so exponential that sometimes we don't even see all the pieces of what it's doing. So I love that you're able to actually see that piece of it as well. So my next question for you is, because I always like to hear if you had any objections of that almost kept you from not working with me and what they might have been. If not, then we can move on from
No,
that,
well,
but I know.
I do want to really share this for anyone that might be listening. But you talk about the Netflix effect and bingeable and pre-selling your leads. To be perfectly honest, I was a high intent lead, which is something that you speak about. I knew I wanted to up level my business. I'd been trying to work with another quite high level marketing coach, and it just didn't go anywhere. And literally found you. I just kept seeing you talking in one of these Facebook groups that I'm rarely in. I'm like, oh, there's that lady again, that one that talks. I just, because I don't have the sound on, and I just
Okay,
see,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And then I read a snippet and read a snippet. And I think saw three of those without listening to you. And then I listened to you. I just went click. Oh, I think I listened to two, and then I was on a call. So I knew from your messaging that I was ready to go, that you were my person. And I did have that objection, and I think it's something that we all face, is what if it doesn't work for me? And my objection was, what if I don't have a methodology?
Yeah.
Because like that forest for the trees, I really truly didn't understand that I had a methodology, or that what was in my brain could actually equate to a methodology. So that was my only objection. And you were very confident with that in our call,
Yep.
and I immediately felt that sense of trust, because I like what you'd expressed previously, and I'm like, okay, she knows what I'm doing. She knows what she's doing. No, there you go. Yeah, there's a Freudian slip. She knows what I'm doing.
But
So
I love that you said that, because again, I think there's a help. We even say when you join any of my programs, I say, I know you're feeling scare-sided. It's like this feeling between being scared and a little bit excited. And it's
mm,
this idea that you are putting your trust in someone else. You're putting your trust in yourself and making that investment. You're also putting your trust in someone else as well. And I can't stress this enough, that when I tell people, because I think it was somebody else in the program who told me, I know you said that you turn people away, but I don't think anyone actually believes that. And I was like,
I
it's
remember I did hear that.
yeah.
I know you said
And I
that. I
was like,
remember listening to that.
it's funny because we really do, because when
Yeah.
I'm on a call with somebody, and the reason that is so important in part of our process, and we teach this and we explain how this builds into whether you use calls in your process or not, understanding where the role they fill and the intent. In my process, it was a matter of, I know that in order to help someone create innovative gap methodology, it's not everyone's fit. It's not going to be that
Right.
everyone has innovation. And so often we get on calls with people that were like, listen, I love what you're doing, and it's just not a good fit, and we have to turn people
Mm,
away. And on the flip side of it, that's also the questions that I'm asking, and that we teach in our DM strategy and in our
mm,
call strategy, is that they really played a huge role in me being able to identify for you if I saw innovation right then and there. So it was so
yeah.
simple for me to acknowledge that. But I do agree with you, where that is the scariest piece. I'm going to make an investment. How do I know this is going to pay off? How do I really know that this is going to get me to the result that I want to create? And you've
Mhm.
probably seen this already in results and retention, but we talk about the fact that there's just three levels of it, right? It's what you bring to the table, what I bring to the table, and what the program brings to the table. And ultimately, it's those three things together that drive results. And that's why I tell people, you have to be able to know each of those pieces within your program, within what you do and what they do, to ultimately be able to drive success for your clients. So I just think that's such an important factor, and one that I think doesn't get talked about enough in this industry, is really understanding there's three sides to every coin. It's not two sides, it's
Yeah.
three sides to every coin that drives that success. So I love that. My next question to you would be, what for you felt like was the biggest source of solving your problem? I know we talked about methodology. Was there anything else that kind of stood out for you in helping you solve that ability to be able to speak to what you're doing?
Absolutely. I can't wait to start talking about this. It was as simple as understanding the steps on of a DM, because I don't do calls, just
Mhm.
getting that flow. A at, attracting those high intent leads for in the first instance. B, having a process to create that empathetic echo and understand, and exactly like you do on your calls, is understand who is a right fit. Do you
Mhm.
know what the biggest thing I've got out of the entire program, I think, is that it's okay to exclude people, not exclude in the classic term, but just be really clear in your messaging. And I've started
Yes.
doing that with some of my content creation. I've got away from trying to be all things to all people and not offend people or not polarize. I'm just like, nope, that's fine. We want you to move or you to move. You're going to come in or you're going to come out.
Oh,
So yeah, so that was really valuable. But I think the DMs, particularly in just getting that
yeah.
really smooth sales process. So just I convert at really high rates now. So there's no more like sitting around waiting. And it's almost like on demand that I know if I'm having a quiet week this week because I wanted a quiet week, I'm onboarding some other things. So I just I know my process. I know how to
Yeah.
bring leads
Uh,
in. I know how to actually manage them. I know how to almost curate like inbounds or stop them, which has given me a great lot of control is really important to me, but in terms of freedom. So it's given me a lot of freedom around how to manage my business and actually manage my workflow as well. So
I love
yeah.
that. And I think that's the most underrated version of success is being able to curate what results you want when you want them. So if you want a slow week, cool, I know how to turn it off and I know how to turn it
Yeah.
back on and I know
Yeah.
how to increase this. I think and it's not talked about. I don't think we talk about this enough. That's ultimately what we wanted in our business, to take a trip whenever I want and know that when I come back, I can turn things up and down and have my business running. And I love that. And I think it's such a powerful concept that, again, one of the big things that I'll mention here too, that you fully understand and you mentioned already, was that we look at how everything links together. So we even discussed that like your most powerful form of how you drive traffic is this idea of reactive content, right? Being able to react and be able to drive that. And that's the case for everything. You said it at the beginning of this, where it was like, I knew how to find my voice in your process. And that's what I want people to understand is the goal here was never for you to become a mini version of me or copy
Mhm.
everything I'm doing. It's for you to find your own pathway and develop the strategies that are going to work for you. And you learned really quickly that reactive content was your best source of traffic. And we were like, awesome, let's optimize the entire strategy around how that's going to fit in. And we look at how everything kind of interlocks together, from how you respond to when they come to DMs, what happens next, so that it drives the result we want with, again, like you said, turning it on and off however and whenever you want. So I
Mm.
love that. That's such an important thing. My last question to you is, if someone here was wondering or on the fence about working with me and applying the Easy Yes method, what would you say to them?
Now, so I think I summed it up. Like my time in the program has like formally ended, like the initial program. And I know on the offboarding, I said to you, I'm never going to need another coach. You're there on an ongoing basis as well. So, like for me, just having that person that I trust who understands my business and who understands me as a person almost as well.
Yeah.
You've got a great depth of, you've got a great insight into people and what they're trying to achieve. So, yeah, like the value, what I bring it back to, and I've said to my husband as well, like the value that I've got from the program will last me a lifetime. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter whether I continue with this business, start another business, don't even run a business. It doesn't really matter. It's
Ugh,
the value of it is intangible, actually, I would
ugh,
say.
yeah.
Yeah, and just like I say, even that power of owning your voice and your
Yeah.
expertise, I think that translates into other avenues in life. And I've seen that with other people in the program that have been in the program while I have one person in particular who has just gone from being really insecure, unsure, not having a lot of direction, being really overwhelmed and yeah, like just had so much on her
Yeah.
plate to just owning her power and going, no, this is my decision. I'm going to quit this job. I'm going to start this. I'm going to do, and the pivot that she's made, and I think even just personally in the program as well. I
Yeah.
know what I feel for myself, but I've observed that in other people in the program, that personal development that they go through during the process. As I say, I find that the value's intangible. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. I appreciate it so much. And my last piece is, if someone wanted to learn a little bit more about you and how they maybe can work with you and learn about your process, where could they find more about you?
So I have my website. It's bnb-success.com. So anyone can contact me there. Simple as that. So I don't have a great big social media profile. And that's another thing that's I think is really important to people that I just would like to touch on is that people think they need to be
Mm-hmm.
there's a terminology that you like front and center that you need to be everywhere and
Yeah,
be
top
front
of
and
mind.
center.
Yeah.
And it's top of mind. It's not where I want to be. It's not where I need to be. So I don't have a big social media presence. So I think for anybody, anyone else who thinks they don't want to run their business, and I know there's other people in the program that don't really even understand social media, yet the
Mm-hmm.
process still works for them. So it's not platform specific either.
Yeah.
But yeah, best place to find me is at my website, bnb-success.com.
I love it. Thank you again, Kiara, so much for being here. And if you're listening in and want to learn more about how the EasyS method can work for you, head on over to easysleads.com/call to book a call directly with me or to learn about the method just at easysleads.com. But until next time, thank you so much, Kiara, for being here, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.